Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤. Today I have with me Lt Gen Ravi Shankar, and we are going to discuss some very new developments along the line of actual control, as well as some strategies that China is adopting now around Bhutan. This is going to be the presentation is going to be there along with I'm sorry, I should say the other way. General Ravi Shankar is going to be using a presentation to explain to us what he is seeing. So let's welcome Lt Gen Ravi Shankar. General Ravi Shankar, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel, sir.
Namaskar and thanks a lot for inviting me over to your channel once again, Mr. Iyer. And a very good evening to all those who are watching the evening. Let's start.
General Ravi Shankar, lots of things happening everywhere in and around India, whether it is Pakistan or China or Sri Lanka, a lot of activity happening, some of it rumored to be instigated by China, but China itself has its own internal problems. So between all these things, General Ravi Shankar, you've been seeing some developments along the LAC. There was another round of talks, I believe the 16th round of talks, and you can take it away wherever you want, sir, because you have a presentation, you have a story to tell us. Please take it away, sir.
Oh, thanks a lot, sir. A lot is happening. That's the first thing. You know, the Ukraine war is going on, global inflation, food insecurity, countries in the region tottering. Sri Lanka is already halfway down the drain, trying to recover. Pakistan is getting there very fast. They feel they can't be left out of the drain. Bangladesh is now planning to go to the IMF. Nepal is in trouble. We seem to be the last man standing in South Asia. Well, China won't like it, and China doesn't like that. What's more important is that in this entire thing, if you see, we've virtually checkmated China and Sri Lanka, and a lot of people are now focusing on India. So, in this, you have to look at this and then see what China has done. So, what we'll do is I'll first focus on, last week a report came out about a village in the Bhutan border, what the implications are. Then we'll zoom out of Bhutan, go a little wider and see what are the incidents which are happening in this area. And then we'll go further, step back and see what's happening all over the world. When I say all over the world, around China, and then we'll see why, right? So then that will give you an idea as to where we have to, concentrate and see how do you fend this off. Okay, let's have the slide, sir.
Yes. Just give me 1 second, sir. Viewers, Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It's very important that this presentation be looked at by as many people as possible, because General Ravi Shankar has captured events as they are happening in some of these cases. We had to wait for a couple of days to go air on this one because we needed the latest updated information. So please like this video so that it has the best chance to go viral. Can you put up the slide, please?
Yeah, this is the picture which NDTV and they put out on 8th March, not very far. Well, when you look at this, you really can't make out, except that some construction is there, both sides forest, and there's no perspective to the whole thing. But this is the village which the Chinese have been constructing in the Doklam area. So we don't get an idea what it is. So we will again step out of this area and then zoom back in. You look at this map. You see this is the Chumbi Valley area. Tibet, India, Bhutan, Nepal. So we'll just see this. The same thing on a satellite looks like this. This is that area. Have a look at it. This is the way the mountains run, right? The Himalayas. It's a projection of the Himalayas virtually into the thing. Now, how does it affect? We all talk of the Siliguri corridor. Understanding the Siliguri corridor is important. So let's look at this. If you look at this is the Chumbi Valley, as it's called, and this is the area of our interest. Have a look at it: Nepal, India, Bhutan, and down below is Bangladesh. This is called the chicken snake. You cut this off, the rest of India is cut off from, the northeast is cut off. But this also is not too far. At places it's just about 30 kilometers, 23 to 30 kilometers as the crow flies. So anyone getting here, of course, this is a little farther. Anyone getting here, right? I'll get back to this arrow and all later. Now, if you look at this is again what shall I say, zoomed in thing. The Chumbi Valley comes out like this. Look at this inset. Okay, look at this inset and correlate. This area, right, is the place where there is a trijunction, and this is the area where the flash point took place. This is called the 𝙤𝙬 Ridge. This is a ridge line. Now, from this 𝙤𝙬 Ridge, there's a from here actually there's a river flowing which goes right down into the Aur plains. Similarly, there's a gap here. You see this here, this area, this green area which goes, and there's this watershed. It's called the watershed because from either side the water flows to the north or the south. There's a river which goes in, and there's a river which comes this side. Now it is this, because they can't come here, and this affects India. The Chinese have gone this side. Have a look at this. This is the 𝙤𝙬 Ridge. This is the thing, and these chaps have come this side, right, further to the east, and they're encroaching into Bhutan, and Bhutan is not able to do anything about it. And of course, they're protesting, but then China has its way, right? Now we'll go back. See, this is the place. Now what happens is this trijunction is where the clash took place in 2017. If they'd gone past this, they would have got a peep in directly down south along this river which is coming. Now they have to go this side. Well, all this is notional because the entire incursion is hardly here, just about here in this area. If you see, yeah, in this area, it's far and it's all rocky, mountainous jungle. It's not easy for China to roll down, as people visualize, and cut off that area. And like I said earlier, they'll be going further to the east, right? Sorry, they'll be going further to the east into Bhutan, right? And then they have to come and swing across. By the time all this happens, we will be there. So this is what it is, but it's a pinprick, right? If they enlarge this area where this yellow circle, then there are problems. It will create a problem. And for someone who doesn't know the actual topography out there and the geography out there, people will think, oh, we're going to be, China is just rolling down and going to cut off the chicken's neck and all that. And journalists being what they are, they'll give all this. Now, but then let's step out of this. What's happening? Look, this is one thing which came to light in March, April, May. Okay, it again flared up in the beginning of this month. Now, if you look at this, this is where the 16th round was held. The day the 16th round of talks was held, the talks were largely inconclusive, right? They gave out anodyne statements. Now, but the day the talks were held, China held a firing of a long-range missile in high altitude behind. That gives an indication that, look, we're going to do something. Now, they also, after that, before that, they're carrying out an air exercise, and some aircraft they didn't cross the LAC, but they flew close to the, I wouldn't say the line of actual control, where the face-off is taking place. Normally, the protocol is that fighter aircraft don't come within 10 kilometers of the LAC, but that they violated. So immediately there was a scrambling and all that. In the normal thing, it is being portrayed as if they've done it. I'm sure we would have done also something. So, but then they've done it. There's some air activity here, some missile firing here. There's this photograph which has popped up through NDTV. It is not by any investigative journalism. They must have been fed through some source, right? This to say, look, we are here. And then I put this arrow in the center, only to say that along this entire LAC, right from this area to the east, that is Yunnan, along this area, they're building a road. But that road might take 10-15 years. But it gives you an impression that the road is already there. I mean, that's the way China behaves. So there is something all going on here. Then yesterday the news came out that they're getting a spy ship here into Hambantota. It's basically a survey ship. Right?
We released it, sir.
Yeah. It's a PLA ship, which they're not supposed to get. But then the status of Sri Lanka is so weak and they owe China so much, they're not able to tell them anything. The government itself is this thing. So they've done that. Though we've registered a protest, X, Y, Z, we have to do something else to drive it off. So if you see, there are a lot of incidents happening around. Right? I mean, look at it. If you look at it, because of our influence in China, in Sri Lanka, they're making their presence felt. They can't help Sri Lanka out. We discussed this last time also. They're in no position to help Sri Lanka. People in Sri Lanka don't like them, so they're showing their force. Right? And here, they're trying to do something because India is gaining stature. So they have to do. All this is what? Grey zone warfare. What is grey zone warfare? You do something which is provocative, but not provocative enough to draw a military response.
And there are always friendly media outlets.
Yeah, I wouldn't say friendly, because the fact is that once any media is given feed, automatically that fellow will make his money and he will feed it out. And alarm, so all that is this thing. So all this they've done. Let's face facts that they're done. There's an intent coming out. Okay. Now let's zoom out a bit. I put an arrow out here. What's happening around Taiwan? Nancy Pelosi is to go there. There's a heat developing out there. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the United States Senate. She's to go there, and she's actually number 2 after President Biden in the line of presidency, right?
Sir, one small correction, sir. One small correction, sir. She's number 3. Number 2 is vice president.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So White House. Right after that. Yeah.
Second rung. She's a second rung.
Second rung. Yes.
Let's put it way. 1, 2, 3. She's number 3 in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
That I agree. Granted, maybe it's the way I put it across. Right. And China is having problems with Japan. Everything. So you see China as being troublesome to its adversaries. I mean, look at the larger picture. If you look at the smaller picture, you will not get it. But if you look at the larger picture, it's troublesome against China, India. It's showing its fangs against Taiwan. It's fingering Japan, and it's trying to keep USA out. Why is it doing all this? All of a sudden, that's because their internal economy is in a very tight shape. They've recorded 0.4% growth in the second quarter, but a lot of analysts, a lot of articles say that they've actually shrunk the economy, and they've given 0.4%. And they've that zero COVID, and the supply chain breaks, transportation breaks, everything. All this put together, their economy is tanking. I mean, let's be clear. I'm using the word tanking. Right? It's not so great anymore. In fact, Mr. Anant Krishnan, he's the resident editor in China for Hindu. He's got a newsletter which he keeps sending out. He sent that letter out. He came here, got stuck in India for a long time. He went back to China. From the moment he went through Hong Kong, went all over, and his family staying in Beijing. It took him 1 month plus to reach Beijing. And in between, he's got tested 20 times. That's the problem. No one moves in China. One case and everyone is down, right? So their economy is in a bad shape. Plus the fact that the banks are in a bad shape. The real estate is in a bad shape. So people have been, brutalized or beaten up for asking their money back. I mean, that's also very funny. I want to buy a flat, so I go to the bank, take a loan. I take a loan on my savings deposit, right? Now, the money has been given to the real estate developer. And the real estate developer is not giving my flat. He's not doing anything. But he wants my mortgage. The bank wants my mortgage. And we know that the real estate developer, all of them are tanked. Okay. So, I say I can't pay the mortgage. So, the moment I say I can't pay the mortgage, my bank deposit is securitized. It says, oh, it's investment. So my money is gone. Where do I go? So I'll naturally go and strike in front of a bank. Okay. So the moment these people have gone to the bank, they've been, firstly, all their codes have turned red, so they can't go to the bank. In China, you can't go anywhere unless you have that, COVID code, which is green. And then tanks have been lined up there. Thugs have come and beaten them up. Okay. So all this nonsense is going on. Right? And why? They are now put the scare about across the board. There are about 4,000 small banks which are involved in this real estate. And if any more go, there will be a contagion. And then there will be a collapse. To stop that, all this is happening. And now they're doing something. They'll say, okay, local government should finish this, that, everything. It's a Ponzi scheme. Sunday, I put out I'm sure the article will come out on the 2 Ponzi schemes of China in the Sunday Guardian. Have a look at it. Okay, the other Ponzi scheme being the BRI. But then we are not looking at the BRI right now. We're looking at... So China's economy is in a problem. Zero COVID is hitting them. Right? People are not happy. Their businesses are not going. And they're losing global influence. And this is not what I'm saying. At least today, I've read about 4 or 5 articles that their whole problem is this thing. So that is why all this nonsense is happening. They want to tell everyone, look, we are still the boss. They want to tell anyone, their own people, we are trying to save you. Don't worry about the economy. We are trying to save you from death or the ravages of COVID. And we'll sort out outsiders. And they're externalizing the internal pain outside. This is part of that game. And gray zone. So, but then what is important is the 2 targets. Taiwan, India. Main Taiwan and India, which I've always been saying. If China can't get Taiwan, they'll have to do something against India. And if they get an opportunity, they'll not lose it. Okay. So that is where we stand today. What are we doing? Yeah, naturally, we are responding. We are responding on the LAC. I'm sure that people are on the alert wherever it is. I'm also sure if China takes the wrong step, Agniveer or no Agniveer, anyway, Agniveer is 4 years hence. Right now, the Indian Army is as strong as it is. Even after that, I'm sure the Indian Army will sort it out. Right? Yeah, I agree. Wild dogs can hurt anyone. But we can also be wild. And I'm sure that if we do the right, if they do any mischief, we'll do a pro quid quo. Go sit inside China and create a situation. And it is in Chinese history. I mean, again, you look at that problem on the Ussuri River. When China was confronted, when China kept fingering Russia, Russia kept quiet. I mean, USSR. And on one day, they didn't do anything. They just sunk an island in the Ussuri River by their firepower. Just a demonstration. After that, there was no problem with China and between USSR and this. Same thing happened in Vietnam. Historically, they'll show a lot of fangs and guts and glory. They'll come in. They got hit so badly. Of course, Vietnamese suffered, but the Chinese suffered so badly, they had to step back. They quietly stepped back. So here also, you have to make them step back. They'll not, this thing at Depsang and all is not going to get in a hurry. Of course, we've made the fundamental mistake that we, gave away that Kailash Heights without a guarantee. Because at that time, I felt they had a guarantee for these chaps to go. Some guarantee. But it appears now that leeway is not there. And that's why they have dug in there. But we have to create. If they do like this, we should create an opportunity. And I'm sure it will come. You see, as long as... right. One more point, one more thing which I read today. And it's very interesting. And this is in the South China Morning Post. They're digging some tunnels, and one of the tunnels caved in. Can you imagine?
Where, sir? Where?
This is in the area north of Arunachal Pradesh.
Oh, I
Okay.
see. I see.
Right, it's a long tunnel. That whole tunnel is over, over 130 kilometers stretch. 50% are tunnels, and one of them just collapsed. And they had made a huge tunnel. It's a 9-kilometer long tunnel, which has now become 3 kilometers. And I'm sure there are more collapses, which we don't know. Let me explain why. They've given some stupid explanation, but I don't think that's right. They've said it's the Eurasian plate coming in along with this plate, Asian plate, and along with the African plate, and along with the Zimbabwean plate, all these coming together because this tunnel is going through the fracture, it has collapsed. But my fundamental thing is the Himalayas are young mountains.
Yes.
Right? My personal thing is that even at places, it looks all great. Even if you take a vehicle, it will collapse. Even if you run a dozer, do a road, everything, and one fine day, if you're going, it will just collapse. The subterranean conditions in Himalayas are loose. And this is across the board, right? And these chaps are doing it something parallel to the Brahmaputra river. So if anything parallel to the Brahmaputra river, we don't know what the conditions down below are. And if you remember, Mr. Shriyar, in our presentation on the Brahmaputra river and all, these chaps have put dams.
Yes.
A lot of dams. Now, if you put dams on the Brahmaputra river, water will collect, and water has weight, and water will seep through cracks in between. And if it seeps through cracks in between, we don't know where it is going underneath. And somewhere in that region, even 100, 200 kilometers away, you dig a tunnel which is 9 kilometers or 10 kilometers long, it will get affected. It's fundamental common sense, right? So, why I'm telling you this is, you'll hear a lot of stories, Chinese propaganda, that they're building roads, they're doing this, it's going to take time. Let me tell you, in 10 years, what China you see today is not the China you're going to see in 10 years ahead. If you go take your mind back, the China you saw 5 years back, 10 years back is not the China you're seeing today. Right? So don't get don't get upset about it. Don't get too worried about all these things. We should deal with facts. We should deal with the immediate future. My worry, let me be very upfront about it, is the next 5 years, next 6 years. In the next 5-6 years, China is like a loose missile. Too heavy to be cowed down, and too ambitious and greedy for all these communists to stay in power, and they can do anything. And we have to be, our guard has to be up. After 5 years, by then our own strength will increase, our economy will go up, there's no doubt about it. Even now the projections are that we'll go minimum 7-8%, whereas others are not going to go anywhere. And China will start aging, right? And China will start aging. Once it starts aging and the number of people who are old starts increasing, that society, age society doesn't fight, right? So one has to be patient. We are long-term players, and it's a fundamental law of physics. Anything which goes up very fast will also come down fast. It's happening.
General Ravi Shankar, just to compliment, sir, if you will bear
please,
just 1 second. I want to compliment a couple of data points that you said. General Ravi Shankar, when the China was laying down the CPEC road, somewhere between the Gilgit area and the Chinese border, there was an earthquake, and a big chunk of the bridge completely collapsed. A new lake got formed. Hundreds of Chinese soldiers were killed. Everything, you have to go scourging on YouTube to exactly know the data. Today, they have to rebuild that part, and they have come back again. But it tells you, it underlines, in red, that this is a shifting land mass.
Yeah. And not only that, they're building the 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪 Dam. If that 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪 Dam is one of the biggest dams which is going to be around, we don't know what's going to happen. So, one shouldn't get taken up by all these, I would call it something like akin to a quick get-rich scheme, you know. at times, at times, look, all of us might feel, oh, China is doing this, China is doing that, and India is doing nothing about it. Be patient. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, I also want to tell our viewers one observation, and you don't have to comment yes or no on this. So this is just my personal observation. The misguided missile that took off from India and landed on an open field in Pakistan was an indication of what India can do. Please take it that way and let it go on.
Let it go. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Look, many times India doesn't know what it's doing, but it does. You know, suddenly at the end of the day, we surprise ourselves and, you know, surprise others. And suddenly you find you're in a different strata altogether. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Look, in 91, when our gold went to London, it's still there. Huh?
Right.
We had to hawk our gold. Whoever thought that by 92 we'll start recovering and we'll become an IT power in the next 4-5 years?
Yes, true.
I mean, I go back to that time. I remember the times in 1991 where we didn't have a single mall in Gurgaon. I still remember the first mall which came up, and we used to go there to have Australian, you know, biscuits and things like that. It was a novelty. But today, so we be patient. Yeah.
General Ravi Shankar, the overall landscape, right, that China is in trouble. PGurus has been in forefront of doing this. I don't know if you get a chance to watch. We have two other ideologues who come and talk to us about what they see happening in China. And everything that you have covered today, you know, have been hinted in various ways over the last 6 months. So we kind of know. What we also know, this is data again. Xi Jinping has not left town. He just went to Xinjiang for one. That was all because, again, sir, that's again, Elmer Yuan made a statement on our channel saying this guy is scared to get out. So we have to go and do it.
Look, there are a lot of problems, and look, there is a power struggle on. Again, today there was a article in which one of their ministers, he's been put through the court and he's been forced to admit, corruption charges, something to the tune of 15 million and all that. But we all know all their ministers are on that line. They're all corrupt. I mean, corruption is endemic in China. Okay, they're all in the get-rich schemes. They have their own. So it's not this. This fellow is being sorted out. That means it's a witch hunt, purge, whatever you call it. So this you'll see. I expect more purges to happen. Right? I'm sure some of these guys have been sorted out in Shanghai and all that. So let's see where it goes.
General Ravi Shankar, the information that I have been told, just looking at some of the data that has come through on all the videos and hangouts, is that right now, inside the CCP, Li Keqiang has assumed more powers. He has been very underplayed, so far, up until like 6 months ago. He was on the way, he was the person who was going to be retiring soon and so on. But suddenly there has been a shift in momentum, and that Xi Jinping is more or less now given only some very narrow scope of things to do. The rest of the stuff is being done by Li Keqiang. That's what I'm being told. Again, so this is, nothing comes out of China. So there is no way to verify.
So, we can keep speculating.
Right.
I would rather wait. Look, one thing I can say with confidence, that things are not okay.
Yes.
There is some problem. Okay. We know that the purges will take place. That's the communist way. Right? We also know Xi Jinping is very powerful. We also know the Premier Li Keqiang is the alternate power structure. Right? Whether that power structure is strong or not, we don't know. There is an alternate power structure. There might be more power structures which we don't know. You're talking of Li Keqiang, there might be 2-3 more. And I understand there are. Right? So we don't know. And plus, Hong Kong is a sore in its own right. Not everything is going right in Hong Kong. Okay. And there's an external pressure building up from USA. On this side, they're losing their international thing. IOR, if they lose to India, they're in trouble. Their bosom brother, Pakistan, is fighting hard to go further down the drain. Okay. I mean, just imagine one Pakistan rupee at $1 at 239 Pakistan rupees in a matter of just about under a month, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks. They have lost about 20 rupees. That's 10% devaluation in just a matter of 2 weeks. Every day
Right.
that it's losing 1%. Right? So there is a lot of pain there. Right? So let's see. Like I said, we are living in interesting times. The interest is that in all this insanity which is going on around us, I see India strong. We have our problems, I have no doubt about it, but I see India being strong. How do we leverage this
Absolutely,
strength?
sir. Yeah.
How do we leverage this strength? Is the challenge before us. Are we doing it well enough? Is the challenge before us. Is our Atmanirbharta plans going well? That's the challenge in front of us. This is the time for us to guard, safeguard, and consolidate.
One reason why I kind of like Lee Ka-chang amongst the entire posse of CCP leadership is that at least he's a little sensible. He said, count the GDP based on the number of containers that are leaving China rather than the numbers that they put out. Like, for example, somebody told that if you run bullet trains from place A to place B, and doesn't matter whether it is profitable or not, whether it has passengers or not, that adds to your GDP. And they've done that. And then they're saying that many bullet trains don't have much, carrying capacity. People don't travel in them, too expensive.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, there's also a very clear thing that their investment, infrastructure and finance model of growth has come to an end. Right? I mean, it was something which I read the other day. China has enough empty housing to house 90 million more people. And this is a 90 million, which is almost 80% of their population current. And by 2050, it is said that their population will be down to almost 100 million. That means they already have houses till 2050. They don't have to construct. They don't need schools. They don't need public infrastructure. And if you continue with that model, where do you go and what will happen for all these ghost towns and all that? One day your whole economy will collapse. Right? And their entire thing is infrastructure. They have no other idea as of now. I think that's it. So anything we can discuss or?
Yeah. So we have a few questions, General Ravi Shankar. But before we go to questions, I just want to summarize to our viewers. I arguably believe that PGurus videos have by far a very in-depth look at what is happening in China, especially Sasha Gong's videos dissecting the amount of penetration China has achieved in the United States and the realization inside the United States to the extent of the rot that exists. Because once US realizes the problem, it's one of those few countries which can correct itself fairly quickly. And it's my belief that things will correct very quickly. But at the same time, what I'm trying to say is that, you look no further than PGurus videos for any topic about China, how things are going, what the reality is, and where things go. And General Ravi Shankar, you've summarized it beautifully for us, sir. A lot of things that we have been talking about for a long time. And in fact, I highly recommend two videos that we have done, one by General Ravi Shankar about Brahmaputra and the other by Sridhar Chityala on the Mekong River and how China has deprived the downstream countries of their basic water. These two are compelling videos that you should look at, because a neighbor so big as China, the kind of cruelty it can inflict on its neighbors is just unbelievable. In the case of Brahmaputra, maybe Brahmaputra will take care of a lot of things. But at the same time, how long, who's going to bell the cat? Who's going to go and tell all those civil engineers, listen, stop doing all these dams, stop drilling all these tunnels? We don't know what we don't
Yeah,
know.
we don't know. We don't know. I mean, they
Yes.
are also building uh, a canal which is going to take water right up to Beijing from these areas, and we don't know what's going to be the effect of that from the Three Gorges Dam, which is a little to the north of Yunnan, to Beijing. It's almost a couple of thousand kilometers of a canal, and at places this canal is going to go underground. Maybe they'll use a lift system. So all these affect climate change.
And General Ravi Shankar, even when they finished the Three Gorges Dam, the amount of the body of water it was holding, it was actually affecting the gravitational forces of the Earth.
Earth,
It
yes.
was such a massive amount of load there.
So we don't know what these Chinese. They think they're great engineers. They're, I think, great wreckers. But that's how it is. Let's see what the future holds.
Yes. We'll take some questions now.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and have some questions. Mr. Lee wants to know, why did Bhutan not accede to India in 1947? Was there a policy by the Brits to keep the South Asian region balkanized to facilitate an easier re-entry?
That's a very fake question to ask. Why didn't they accede? Why? I'll put it other way. Why didn't Nepal accede to India?
I thought Nepal wanted to and India did not.
And Sikkim and Bhutan, all these three, if they'd acceded, things would have been Sikkim. But then that's history, that's speculation, right? There's also a fact that the Britishers never had control over the Himalayas completely. Right? They never were able to quell the rebellious mountaineers. They also couldn't penetrate far into the northeast. Right? So there is a issue that much to what we think that the Britishers ruled India, Britishers didn't rule large parts of India. So when they left, they had very nebulous control over these hill states. That's one. And that's one of the reasons why the J&K mess is where it is. If they had full control over that area, we wouldn't have been in this problem. The borders would have been demarcated. Right? Okay. They gave it to us, and we were a nascent country, young country with different ideas. We had different consolidations. You must remember there was a massacre going on in the partition, in the post-partition time. I don't think we had any clue of what was happening. We didn't even bother about Bhutan or Nepal or Sikkim at that point of time. And NEFA, it used to be called Arunachal Pradesh. We knew they were there. We could deal with them later.
Frontier Agency.
NEFA Frontier Agency. We knew they were there and we could deal with them later. So I will say the decade after independence, say till 50s, late 50s, 56 was the time when the Chinese started entering, Tibet and building that.
Tibet. Okay.
So that's the time when we should have consolidated it, all these areas in some form. I'm not saying usurp Nepal or Bhutan or Sikkim. We should have consolidated our hold along the Himalayan belt. We didn't have the strategic vision to do so. And that's the penalty we have to pay. But do I blame anyone? Well, no, I don't know. Really at this point of time to say someone did a mistake is, I think, not the right thing. That was the times. The nation was still consolidating itself. Right? We're talking of 54 when Goa was still an independent state. Right? And there were all these princely states had fully not amalgamated. If you remember, there were privy purses being paid to these Maharajas. Right? There was a big drain. We were a country which were going through repeated famines all over. Monsoons used to fail. So the situation was different. We were not so strategically oriented at that point of time. So I don't think this is a policy by the Brits also. I think it was beyond them. They were more focused on the game with Russia, and that's why they created West Pakistan at that time, so that it could be a wedge between the Russians coming down and the Indian government coming in. They were very clear that the direction of the political direction of India would be socialist because of the poverty there, and we had all our people were considered something akin to what communists today are being considered. And British didn't trust us, so they got hold of this trusted band of Muslims to create Pakistan. Already there was something in the air. And then, of course, they had to protect their oil interests. So they needed a state which was more amenable to their interests in this area, and that's why they balkanized India along Pakistan. These things that it didn't matter them. So that's how it is.
General Ravi Shankar, I still remember in the 70s putting petrol from Esso, Burma Shell, all these
Caltex. Caltex, Burma Shell. Esso turned, I think, Burma Shell became Bharat Petroleum, Esso, I think, became Indian Oil, and Caltex was HP later. I think so. That's how it was. Yeah.
I mean, so there was this is 70s we are talking about, 25 years after India became independent, there were still British companies operating in India.
Yeah.
Next question from Sudhir Kaushik. Sir, is liberation of Tibet a solution for 60 years of coercion possible/feasible?
Look, you can't liberate Tibet. You can't liberate Tibet till the Tibetans want to be liberated. Let's be first clear about that. Do the Tibetans want to be liberated? You see Dalai Lama, he is not seeking independence, he is seeking autonomy. So if he is not seeking independence, how can you liberate Tibet? And you liberate Tibet from what? Right? So the point is that you can create problems, you can raise the issue. In one of the shows I did say, Tibet has never been part of China politically. Right?
We've done that program on PGurus.
We've done that program, So, but then, how do you liberate it? You can take it up, you can stir trouble, that's part of the gray zone activities you can undertake. If China does anything more along the list, you start this thing. But for you to liberate Tibet, you need more. And you also have to understand that China has invested a lot into Tibet. All said and done, they have made the life of Tibetans far more better than the Tibetans themselves could have imagined. I mean, let's not take anything away from China on this score. They pumped in a lot of money, right? So, a lot of Tibetans would be happy to be where they are. This is the third generation of Tibetans, or fourth generation of Tibetans after 56. Do they want independence? What is the whole Dalai Lama has got? What if the next Dalai Lama is nominated by China, like it happened in Panchen Lama's case, and he's pushed through? Of course, there are indications that it might not happen that way, but we don't know. So, there would be problems which we have to resolve. We have to play the best tune there so that there's some pressure on China. But liberation of Tibet, I think, is a far-fetched idea at this point of time.
Srinivas Kambanpati wants to know, General Ravi Shankar sir, is it true that some spy ship of China is going to dock at Hambantota port to watch us?
I don't think it's to watch us. It's a survey ship. They're going to get hydrological features around that area. Look, let's be very clear. China has not taken over Hambantota port, to do trade. So far, nothing has happened in the past 5 years. Eventually, they will coerce Sri Lanka to allow it to become a naval base. All this story is for that.
It's on a 99-year lease right now, isn't it?
Right. Why shouldn't the Chinese be taught a lesson? Well, why should we teach them a lesson? They're learning it on their own. Look, by any stretch of imagination, the Chinese model is failing. Unless China has an alternate model, it's going to fail. I mean, I'm making a big statement. Why? you have to understand why is this, why am I making this statement? The fundamental thing is, if you see for the past 2 decades, 2000 to 2020, till the onset of the virus, China was virtually a capitalist economy. There are a lot of free controls. I just read an article by Thomas Friedman in New York Times, where he said he predicted around 2008-9 that China will be a free country, democratized, free media, X, Y, Z. And today he writes, he says, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Those 8 articles written where everyone has owned up to their mistakes. So Friedman says, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I misjudged the whole scene. China has now gone back to the absolute communist state.
Right.
Now we know that Mao days. Now it's going back into that. That doesn't gel with a capitalist economy which is flowering. If anything, the capitalist model which the communist model which Xi Jinping has propagated is wrecking China's money. He's packed up all the tech sector. The real estate sector is in pain. BRI is in pain. Containers are not leaving. Like you said, containers are not getting out of China. Within China, you can't travel. Okay. And this fellow seems to be and he wants to pick up fight with everyone. I mean, the discussion between EU and China was described as a discussion between the deaf. Okay. That's the state. Okay. And his best friend Pakistan is going down. Okay. And they are not making any great headway in Myanmar. They are not making any, they have lost their footing in Sri Lanka. So they have a problem. And why should I teach? Let them learn their own lesson. If they don't learn their own lesson, let them go down the chute. Angola has said thank you to them. Yeah.
Skanda wants to know, Ravi Shankar sir, what about cyber warfare? Is India well prepared to handle cyber warfare from China?
Right. Look, what will cyber warfare do to us? This is a fundamental question I've always asked myself. Everyone talks cyber warfare, cyber war, cyber war. What has cyber war done in the Ukraine war? Has it made a difference to the outcome of whatever is happening? People have started talking of information warfare as part of cyber war. So cyber war has great limitations. That is the learning we have learned from the Russia-Ukraine war. The cyber capabilities of any country are not enough to put down another country. Big countries. Yeah, small country, yes, you can shut it down. You can shut down their electricity. If you built it, you build their grids and you put bots in it and you can do all that. Why? You can't stop a country like India from functioning. And India is prepared by the sheer mass it has. India is prepared on one more count. Let me tell you. We are under-penetrated for IT. Or lack of penetration for IT will save us from these cyber attacks, unlike USA. Right? I think we are making too much of this cyber business. And why am I saying this? Let me... why am I saying this? 2 years back, there was a cyber expert with whom I was talking, and I wanted to do something about cyber, technology and all that, and we dabble with it, in some form with our students. We discuss things with them, and they do some things and all that. He was saying, "Sir, this whole business is overblown." At that time, I said, "Yeah, what is this man? He must be a Dumbo to tell me that." So today I keep talking to him again. He said, "Sir, I told you 2 years back it will be a flop. It's been a flop." So I think we are overplaying this cyber business. But at the same time, we need to prepare more. It has got its value. It's got a psychological value. It's part of the cyber war. It's part of the information war. Right? So we need to develop. Are we there? No, not yet. Do we have some capabilities? Yes. Are they enough? No. So the net is that we need to develop. development can't be stopped. In fact, it has to be progressed. Yeah.
General Ravi Shankar, just to add to what you have been observing about the Ukraine-Russia war, Russia did try a few things, and I just want to list them out, and you can weigh in, sir. First thing they tried to do was to take out the internet of Ukraine. And for that, what Elon Musk is supposed to have done is he enabled this new system called Starlink, which is satellite-based internet. And at least for the key people there, they could get that information to use Starlink to have basic connectivity of some sort. That's one thing. The other problem was when they took out the internet, Russian people, Russian generals had difficulty going back and getting orders or getting to know where the other groups were. So it's a double problem. They also had the same problem. And that led to some other challenges for them. 12 generals were killed, sir. 12 generals. Even the Russians have accepted this so far.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, whatever you said is right. There's no doubt about it. The fundamental thing is the cyber business is overblown. Okay. And you can't shut down the other countries' nets completely. That doesn't happen. And another thing is you can snoop in and get hold of information by a net. If that net goes down, you don't know what's happening the other side. So it's a double-edged weapon, huge manner. It's very easy, but we'll leave it at that.
Just 1 second, sir, before the next question is addressed. Chernobyl, what do you think really happened there? Because it was actually domed. Billions were spent to try and dome it by the West to make sure that it doesn't have any more leakage. And then the Russians went and occupied it. They were there for a month or two, and then they left quietly. What really do you think happened in Chernobyl?
Nothing. I don't think anything happened. To be very honest, nothing. I mean, the Russians got hold of it more to get hold of it so that they don't get affected once they take over that area. Part of cyber war and all that. But I don't think. The Russians are not fools to go and tamper with it.
And they had this 40-mile or 64-kilometer convoy that kind of got stuck near Kiev.
Yeah, that was Kiev. So that is a different story. Yeah.
All right. Next question, please. Long walk or slow? I think we answered this question. Why not openly display intent and capability?
No, he says
Shanghai
how to.
Beijing?
Yeah, we have this capability. Capability we have. Why should I display any intent? I mean, look, it's in strategic affairs, the mere capability is intent. Developing a capability is based on intent. I don't have to repeatedly tell him that I can hit you. The fact that I've demonstrated a weapon system which can hit him is good enough.
Also, I encourage you to watch the one episode on BrahMos that General Ravi Shankar did on PGurus. It gives you a lot of information about exactly answering this question.
Yeah.
Next question from K Money. Why not tit for tat, capture Chinese territory, attack Cocos Island, take Trishul?
See, fundamentally the thing is right. You need to do a tit for tat. But when do you do the tit for tat? That's the question. It's a matter of timing. Right place and the situation. So we can do more. Why should I go and attack Cocos Island, which is basically of Myanmar? Why? Trishul, I agree, but what do I get out of Trishul? See, fundamentally, if you do a tit for tat capture of I won't say Chinese territory, Tibetan territory, right? You should get value for it. And there are better, believe you me, let me just take it from me on this. There are many places where India can play merry hell into China. Like I said, I'm sure our people are ready with a pro quid quo action in case China does something.
Also, why don't you look at what India has done in Sri Lanka? The Sri Lankan people have more or less stood up and driven out China. They are just not welcome there. Even though they have built them some very good infrastructure, a very good airport, a very good port, they are not using it. That's a different matter. But the point I'm trying to make here is even that is sort of like a win where you let somebody collapse under their weight.
Yeah.
And I'm also hearing, sir, that the Rajapaksa who had fled is coming back now because they have figured out how the riots were happening. I think they have figured out and they've looked at the whole thing. That's what I'm hearing.
Let's see. Let's see. I mean,
Yeah.
let's see. I mean, yeah.
Dimpu Praharsh wants to know, India and Bhutan are synced with each other with regards to security aspect. If yes, why not India send some of our troops to cover Bhutan borders? What are your views?
Yeah, India. We have a pact with them. We are in sync with them. In fact, till recently, we didn't. They never used to speak directly with China. We used to speak on their behalf. Now we've allowed them to speak, and we're backing them. Why not send some of our troops to cover Bhutan borders? Well, it's still an independent country. You can't really go and put your troops all over, right? But there are places where we do have station our troops for some time. We have this MTRAT where we train Bhutanese troops, Indian military training team, which is at a place called 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤𝙦. And it's not been now, it's been there for the past 40 years. I mean, let me put it this way. I'll give you the answer in a different manner. 1982, correct, 82, 83. As a young captain, 82, 83, I had 5 years service. I spent 6 months in Bhutan. And we were posted at Binaguri, we were pushed up for 6 months in Bhutan. Then, I'm sure there's more. Have I answered?
Yes, it's a very good answer. Connect the dots.
Connect the dots.
Girl Srinivasan wants to know, what is September surprise? Giri Srinivasan, sorry.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I wish what is the September surprise? I've not heard the term, so let me confess about it. Unless
No, even I haven't heard it, sir. Girinath Paranjoti wants to know, sir, why don't we openly support Taiwan? Can China take on India, Taiwan, and other countries at the same time?
It's a fair question. We can't support Taiwan openly at this point of time, but we are doing a lot to support Taiwan, much more than what we were doing, say, even 2-3 years back. Okay. So it's not as if we are not supporting them. It's not open support, and that we have reasons because we have our vulnerabilities. Our vulnerabilities are in the economic sector. Right. So, one point I missed out. We also, been tough on all this Vivo and Xiaomi and all for the tax evasion.
Yes.
Put the screws on them.
Yes.
So that also has riled up China to do what it's doing because it can't hit us back big time. So
big
that
time,
they can't do anything.
Let me add to what you just said, sir. The 60 software companies that were shut off, that was a clean job. What used to happen, again, is that there was information leak. They were trying to build a profile of the users of India, what their spending habits were, and so on and so forth. And there was some spyware, malware, whatever you want to call it, in some of these softwares. And it was, they were calling home and giving data. That has effectively been cut off. When India went and said, we are banning these applications, the data stopped going back to China.
That's one part of the story. That happened. But what I'm saying is now, all these mobile phone companies who are doing tax evasion, they've been and that has its effect. And that's one of the reasons why China has gone a little more aggressive. That is very clear. Now, why don't we support Taiwan openly? There are issues. Many people don't, many people do, but we have our own vulnerabilities. Our dependence on China is high. You see, if you see the trade with China, it has gone up after COVID. Why is it gone up?
Right.
Why is it gone up? Because some of the things which you need for your pharmaceutical industry, you need API from active pharmaceutical ingredients from China. Otherwise, your own thing will collapse. Now you have dependencies. If you have dependencies, you can't do everything against China. I mean, that's part of the diplomacy and your strategic behavior. Okay, so can China take on India, Taiwan, and others? No, China can't take on anything at this point of time. Let's be very clear. Let me flip the question. what has China taken on so far?
That's true. Yeah.
What has China taken on so far? So I think China has overplayed its hand. And when its economy was good and everything was good and the hype was good, it was great. See, 2 years back, we were talking of multi-domain warfare, new age warfare, where, every kill will happen without firing a bloody gun. Everything. All is... And, I just saw a WhatsApp forward to me, right? So whenever people start discussing of fifth generation warfare, the artillery fires and it settles the question. So there's no fifth generation warfare when the artillery starts firing. So the fact is that the battlefield has become violent all over again. I don't think China has got the wherewithal to take on everyone. I don't think China today has the wherewithal to take on even one.
And if I could just add my 2 cents to what you just said, General Ravi Shankar, viewers, you have to know this. Maybe many of you don't know this. They eliminated the fly problem in the whole country, they thought. They also eliminated sparrows. They also have eliminated their cows because there was a famine and they ate their cows. So they have some serious imbalances in the way the ecosystem around you is. And they so what we are talking, the 80% of their water, river water, is not usable, not even for agriculture purposes, because it's contaminated. You see, there are lots of problems that they don't tell us, but we should know that you should be able to remember things that are happening across or some time zones. Killing the sparrows just doesn't make sense to me, sir. I mean,
I agree with you.
As a nation, go after a particular bird.
Look, that is part of Mao's thinking and Great Leap Forward and all that, right? So we leave it at that. But what the question is, so let's not overhype China. That's the point. The short point is don't overhype China. China is a strong country, but that's it. Yeah.
Mandar Karnik wants to know, will the Communist Party's days be numbered if they cannot win a conflict in the next 2 to 4 years?
They will never fight. You take my word, they'll never fight. I told you their history. Their history is very simple. They'll make faces, they'll do something. If there's a pushback from others, they'll quite step back. They did that in Eastern Ladakh. They did all that and they stepped back. I mean, they stepped 8 kilometers back. Right? So I don't think this thing. My guess is if the Communist Party's days are numbered, it is more because of the people and their own fractures which will come out and their economy. If tomorrow, for some reason, if there's a contagion in the banks and it spreads, they've had it.
Also, Mandar, sorry, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain. I mean, again, I don't know. You must ask Anant Krishnan. It's an open newsletter. I don't know how to put it across to all of you. I just can forward it, those who want it.
Yeah.
Read that. You read that newsletter and say, look, which planet are these chaps living in? It doesn't.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't take 1 month for a person to go from Hong Kong to Beijing.
Yes. Very true. General Ravi Shankar, if you just send me the link via WhatsApp, I can add it into the description section so people can go and pick it up. Also, go back to the previous question, please. I had something else to add on that. Previous question, please. Yeah. So, Mandar, think about this. India became a democracy when it became independent. For a true system of democracy, where there had to be 2 parties head to head, it took 20 years. 1967 was the first time a party called the Swatantra Party, backed by many rulers, and again a rebel from Congress, Rajaji, led that. And that was the first time you had a semblance of an opposition party across several states. So it takes time. Democracy, for communism to go, democracy has to come in. And for that, Hong Kong is the beacon because they have had democratic system there. So when do you think Hong Kong will be the one that the rest of China will listen to? That's the time when you'll see communism go. Also, remember, Mandar, I don't know how much people also, everybody, remember this. The entire CCP leadership is in a small enclave. And changing the head or something is not very difficult. There are like 10, 20 presidium body that decides and says, this is how we are going to do it. That's what's going to happen. So it's a great big land, but everything is concentrated in a very, very small area. Everybody lives together, by the way. It's a small enclave very close to that great palace in Beijing.
Right. So this is the last question we take on?
Yes. Last question now. Sorry, guys, those who missed out. We have had a very, very interactive session today. Giridhar Mamadi wants to know, do you suggest we do something like the Kailash range occupation in some other area, like say Depsang Plains or near hot springs, to force the dragon to disengage?
Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. It's a matter of time. Like I said, it's not necessary there only. You can do it anywhere along the 3,000-kilometer border. So somewhere or the other, when the time comes, you should do it. There's no hurry. We need not, what shall I say, be in a hurry to do anything. Be patient. The time will come. Do it, and things will sort out.
And one aside, Giridhar is a good friend of mine, and you can take a look at his Twitter line. He has done puja at the source of the Indus River.
Yeah, you told me last year.
Yeah,
you told me last time. Last time in that show, you said, he did the Sindhu.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Your finishing thought.
Yeah. Look, it's been a very interesting talk we've had, and I'm glad with all these discussions. I hope I've been able to clarify things. China is trying to be naughty. Let's be clear, but it is not. It's like a cornered cat at this point of time. One has to be careful. One should not, overreact to what they're doing. It's better to act rather than react and absorb them and see where they are. They're doing a gray zone warfare. It's an all-out gray zone warfare, and we need to do something equal to that. It's been a great evening, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much, General Ravi Shankar. And viewers, as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. I don't know how you consume the videos. That's why I keep saying this. Because for some things, if you're, for example, subscribing through your cell phone, I'm told that you have to also click on the bell button. Otherwise, you don't get the notifications. Many others get their notifications just fine. So there's some grayness here. I don't know exactly what happens. That's why I just ask you to do both. 1 in 2 of you are not subscribers, and I'd like to see that number increase. We are just about to breach the 200,000 subscriber mark, and that means a big deal. I'd like to get to 1 million, because at 1 million, I can become self-sustaining. I can make a much better presentation. We'll have a team doing a proper research, rather than now I request General Ravi Shankar, sir, can you put together a PowerPoint 10 minutes before the show starts? And that's how we are literally flying by the seat of our pants. But I would like to make that thing an even better. Just a request. We're doing fine, but we could do better. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, and namaskar.